I'm going to speak plainly now, and I'm not interested in whether this makes anyone uncomfortable, because what is happening in this country deserves clarity rather than cushioning, and it deserves backbone rather than silence. It deserves to be spoken out loud without fear of who might object to hearing it, stated clearly and without apology. The men of the Australian Light Horse and the ANZACs did not fight selectively for some Australians and not others. They did not sacrifice conditionally or temporarily or with an expiry date attached to their service, because every single one of them fought together so this country would be free in a complete sense, not a symbolic sense and not a theoretical sense, but free in a way that allowed people from all over the world to come here, live here, build lives here, practice their beliefs, raise families, contribute to their communities, and take part in a shared national project that asked for responsibility in return for freedom. That freedom has always been broad, and it remains broad, and it extends to you as well, regardless of who you are, where you came from, what language you speak at home, or what faith you practice. And that fact is not in dispute and never has been, because Australia has never required sameness to belong. But what absolutely does not extend with that freedom is the right to despise this country while benefiting from it, to mock its history while enjoying its protections, or to reject its foundations while standing on the ground that those foundations secured for you. There is a difference between disagreement and contempt, and there is a difference between criticism and desecration, and most Australians understand that distinction instinctively, because we are not fragile people and we are not afraid of debate, but we are not obligated to tolerate the deliberate defiling of the very sites that exist to honour those who secured the freedoms that allowed debate to exist at all. And this is where the conversation must stop dancing around the edges and be stated clearly. There are people who have come to this country who openly despise Australian history, who mock the ANZAC legacy, who sneer at the values that built this nation. And while that attitude itself is ugly and ungrateful, it is not what concerns most Australians most deeply, because opinions, even offensive ones, exist in free societies, and Australians have never demanded uniform thinking. What we care about, collectively and deeply, is what happens when contempt turns into action, when disdain becomes behaviour, when imported hatred transforms into vandalism, disruption, and the deliberate defiling of remembrance sites that exist above politics, above ideology, and above grievance. These sites are not protest platforms. They are not ideological backgrounds. They are not canvases for imported conflicts, foreign resentments, or symbolic theatre. They are sacred spaces of remembrance, built to honour service, sacrifice and loss, and desecrating them is not expression, it's a violation of law, of culture and of national trust. And this is where the line is drawn, clearly and without negotiation. If you have participated in the desecration of Australian remembrance sites, whether through vandalism, defacement, disruption, intimidation, or coordinated hostility towards those spaces, then you are not engaging in debate. You are committing an offence, and accountability in a functioning nation is not optional. It is and will be expected. That standard applies to everyone, regardless of background, identity, or belief system. Because law without equal application is not law, and remembrance without protection is not remembrance. And there is another part of that needs to be said just as clearly and just as loudly. This does not only apply to people who arrived here later. Australians who were born here, raised here, educated and protected by this country, who then chose to join in on hatred towards their own nation, who assist in the defiling of remembrance sites, who actively participate in campaigns to erase, mock or degrade the ANZAC legacy, and not immune from accountability simply because they hold an Australian passport and birth certificate. Participation in desecration is participation in desecration and nothing else. Mockery of sacrifice is mockery of sacrifice. Hating your own country does not elevate you morally. It does not place you on the right side of history, and it does not grant you moral superiority. It places you squarely on the wrong side of responsibility, law and national obligation. Australia is not held together by feelings, people. It is not sustained by sentiment. It is held together by standards, by shared expectations, and by a collective understanding that freedom requires restraint, respect, and responsibility to something larger than individual grievance. I'm going to say this now. To those people who have found this very hard to witness, congratulations, you've honoured our country and our ancestors. You're as Australian as it gets. And I tell you what, I certainly know how hard it is to sit back and witness this while the leaders of this country have done nothing about it and stood up and clapped and gave participation awards to those people who are involved. And for those people who are involved in it, you should be disgusted with yourselves. You see, the Light Horse did not leave their farms, their horses, their families, and their futures so that later generations could treat their sacrifice as an inconvenience, a nuisance, or an obstacle to someone else's ideological project. The mighty ANZACs did not walk into fire so that Remembrance could be turned into a battleground or reduced to a footnote when it becomes politically inconvenient. They fought so a single people could build a nation together, under shared law, shared responsibility, and shared civic identity, where personal belief is protected, but national unity is not optional. If you noticed, I said shared law. There was no mention of Sharia law. And this idea that Australia must endlessly reshape itself to suit imported grievances, ideological demands, or religious outcomes is not tolerance, it is submission. And Australians are under no obligation to surrender to their cultural foundations, their historical memory, or their national symbols to keep the peace. Peace is not built on erasure. Peace is built on mutual respect, people. Respect means you do not defile what a nation holds sacred while demanding that nation respects you in return. Respect means you do not enjoy the protections of a society while actively undermining the symbols that bind it together. Respect means that when you live here, you live with the country, not against it, and you do not mistake hospitality for weakness or tolerance for permission. And if you believe that Australians should dilute their customs, soften their standards, or stay silent while sacred sites are attacked, then you have fundamentally misunderstood what kind of country this is, mate. Australia is welcoming, but we aren't spineless. We're tolerant, but we're not obligated to tolerate the destruction of our own foundations. This place is diverse, but it is not a collection of parallel societies with no shared responsibility to each other. The ANZAC legacy is not negotiable. The Light Horse legacy is not optional. Remembrance is not a debate to be reopened every generation. And accountability for actions taken against those legacy is not something to argue about on social media. It is something that occurs within the framework of law, consequence, and national expectation. This is not about silent dissent. And anyone who claims that is either confused or being deliberately dishonest. It is about protecting what unites us. This is not about exclusion. It is about boundaries, and every functional society has them. Because without boundaries, freedom collapses into chaos, and remembrance collapses straight into mockery. The Australian way has never been hatred. It has never been about domination, and has certainly never been about fear. It has been standing upright, speaking plainly, honouring sacrifice, and refusing to let what is sacred be trampled under the excuse of ideology, grievance or imported conflict. That line has always been there. It was drawn by those who paid for it. And it ain't ever moving. This is Australia.